What's up, Mortgage Coach community? Dave Savage coming to you live in our YouTube channel with my good friend, Tammy Butler. What's up, Tammy?
Hey, it's great. How about you?
I'm doing great. Well, I was doing an interview with Jeremy Forcier about a week ago, and I heard him say that he's never spent more time reading guidelines and keeping up on all the changes that are happening. And that was part of, one, how he's closing more loans, and two, how he's keeping his competitive edge. And it just made me think of you and how we need to have more Tammy Butler and mortgage currency in the mortgage coach community.
Well, thanks very much. You know, I can certainly relate to what Jeremy's going through. When I was an originator, it feels like you spend a lot of time researching information in order to get a deal done. And so I can certainly empathize with him. If we go way back, we had the MRI books, and then we morphed into other electronic databases, and now certainly things have progressed from there. And there's no doubt in my mind that those with strong product knowledge are the ones that are really going to make it through this pandemic and any other crisis much easier.
Yeah, no doubt about it. So guys, we're going to give you an update on what we think you need to know at a high level in 10, 15 minutes around product updates. I'm also going to remind everybody that I put a post in the Facebook group last week from Jeremy Forcier. It's a 2-minute total cost analysis video where he's got a lot of clients that he had pre-approved. They even have houses and escrows for jumbo loans. And it's his scripting and it's his product recommendations where he's saying, hey, instead of that jumbo, it's gone, it's been suspended, but I have something even better and I've got a piggyback. So later on in the call, we'll talk about that and we'll show that. But why don't, for people that don't know you, just give us a minute on your backstory, and then let's get into the product updates.
Okay, that sounds great. Well, I've been around for a long time, so I'm not going to bore you with too many details, but 35 years in the industry. I've done everything from a top producing originator to owning the largest training school in the mortgage industry to developing technology for Optimal Blue and also for other verticals within our industry. So certainly I've been around a long time, especially as it relates to the mortgage side of things.
Yeah, and Tammy has also trained a lot of new loan officers, helping them go from what is mortgage, oh, it has a T in it, to being successful top producing loan officers. So she's an incredible trainer, has an incredible platform, and mortgage currency is an incredible resource for loan officers and everybody in the mortgage process. To, you know, what I like about what you do is there's a lot of different resources. Like, you know, I could go read what Fannie wants, what Freddie's guidelines, what FHA. But with you, if I have a problem, I think you told me like if I just want to research student loans, I go to student loans and then I get all the available resources. So I think the resource you have is just more effectively organized for the busy top producer. Would you agree with that?
Oh yeah, absolutely. That's why top producers have been loyal subscribers for years. Yeah. Really, the reason I bought this company, which was about 3 years ago, is that I saw its potential. It had a great base of how loan officers think. You know, loan officers don't want to have to go to Fannie Mae and look up guidelines, and then Freddie Mac and look up guidelines for a particular subject, and then FHA and look up guidelines for a subject, and then try to figure out what's best for their client. We're too busy for that, right? We have to move on to the next thing. So I would prefer, as an originator, to look up a subject. I go to student loan charts. Oh, now I know how to calculate a student loan. All of the agencies are on one chart. I don't know how to calculate a particular type of income that I don't get very often. I go to the income chart for that particular type of income. All the agency guidelines are there. And so this is the way that we think. And so this is the way that we developed our database.
Yeah, super smart. I'm curious, what are some of the most common searches in today's market where people are going into your system and they're looking things up? You know, what are some of the most common problems you're solving?
The last couple of weeks, it's been forbearance and bankruptcy, unfortunately. But normally, our top is student loans. We get a lot of student loans. We get a lot of things around derogatory credit, whether it's collections, judgments, bankruptcies, divorce borrowers. We get quite a few of those. So I think that some of the things that we typically run into, unless you're specializing in that niche, a lot of people will look up the charts that they need in order to solve a problem that they're having that they don't run into every single solid day. Now, if you run into a problem every day, you probably have that inherent knowledge, right? It's something that you're used to working through. But if it's not something you run into every day, you want a great resource where you can get the answer fast without spending hours researching and losing all of those marketing hours where you could have been doing something that you would prefer to have been doing, which is bringing business in the door.
I love that. So before I ask my next question and we start unpacking the update, my job here at Mortgage Coach is to identify the most successful loan officers in America and then interview them on their best practices. I also meet with a lot of C-suites. What's that?
Yeah, and I love it. There's so much knowledge that's passed when you talk to the originators and they can share what they're doing and how they're doing it. I really appreciate the job that you're doing, Dave. It's just profound as to how it's affecting our industry.
Thank you, Tammy. But here's two takeaways, guys. The top producers in our country, they have high conversion rates. And the two biggest reasons that loan officers lose loans and companies lose loans are, one, because they're talking to a qualified borrower and they were unable to get that borrower to trust them and do the loan with them. So it was like trust, winning the business, and the total cost analysis helps you win more of those loans, accelerate trust, improve conversion. But the hidden expense is that people are talking to families that they can help and they don't realize that they can help. It's business that you could have funded. You could have architected a mortgage strategy to help that family. But because you are not a human encyclopedia and you don't run on artificial intelligence, you looked at the loan and you either prescribed the wrong product and it didn't get done. So there's just a lot of lack of conversion because you have a lack of knowledge. And so when you think of converting because you lost a loan because of trust, it's Mortgage Coach of the TCA. When you think of converting because you didn't have the right knowledge at the right time, think of Tammy and Mortgage Currency. So Tammy, with that said, what are some updates that will help our community of loan officers convert more loans and get the right loan for the right family at the right time? What are some updates that will help us?
Well, first of all, I think that product learning is always on. I will tell you that in 35 years, I'm still learning. I will still continue to learn, and you have to evolve with the market. So when we saw that jumbos and non-QMs were starting to fade away quickly, or back in 2008 when we saw that things like home improvements and if you could breathe type of loans were fading away, if you're not smart on your product knowledge and how to understand how to begin to convert your clients into other types of products or something that's working, let's say in a high interest rate environment like a seller funded buy down, if you don't understand these curves that we go through, then you're going to have a lot of what I call leakage. And what I've tried to explain to originators over the years, new ones especially, is that you spend so much money and time and effort bringing business in the door. And then when they come in the door, somehow, because of something that you didn't know or didn't have proper resources for, you lose the deal to another lender who happens to be more savvy than you are when it comes to product knowledge. They were able to do it. Now you've lost credibility with the referral source. And in addition to that, you've lost credibility with the client and all of the referrals that they could have given you over the years. And I'll give you a great example of that. I had a friend's son on the East Coast who was going to purchase a home. And I reached out and said, who does loans in this area? I got a couple of top producers. Now these are a branch manager and a top producer. These are not rookie people. That's important to understand. And I said, make sure that you tell them that even though you have a student loan, your parents have been paying the student loan and you can document that. And so that was the first piece to the conversation that they had. I have a student loan, but my parents are paying for the student loan and have been for the last 3 years. Both loan officers said, I'm sorry, we can't qualify you with the student loan. DU and LP won't accept it. And so I called the loan officers and I said, okay, wait a minute. Let's try to get on the same page here, because his parents have been paying this for several years. And they said, well, yeah, but it's still his student loan. He's still obligated. And so I had to point to the guidelines within Fannie Mae, which was the loan that they were getting, how they didn't need to count that if they could prove that the parents were paying it. So these were two top producing originators where something that basic on something that's a very popular topic now, student loans, was somehow missed and would have cost both of them a deal. Actually cost one of them a deal, but not both of them the deal. So I think that the product knowledge and being able to zig when you need to zag and understanding all of the different options that are out there is absolutely, positively one of the most important things you can do to prevent leakage in your pipeline.
What do you have any stats on what the typical leakage is for a mortgage company or a loan officer?
Well, we tried to get at that, and I always ask that question of a lot of what I'll call the branch managers. I'll say things like, what do you do if you can't do the loan? What happens to the person? And most people don't know. Well, I don't know. I can't do the loan. They go elsewhere. So we really don't have any numbers on it. I'd love to have some numbers on it. But I would say that every originator, if they're honest, and I'll be honest with myself, because when I was new, there were some things that I certainly didn't know or didn't know how to look up. You're going to lose deals. So if we know that we're going to lose deals, how do we lose less deals? By increasing our product knowledge and understanding how these products work in tandem. You know, a perfect example is what Jeremy had alluded to, right? He's in a jumbo market. So he went from no jumbo products to now what do I do? And so because of his knowledge, he was like, okay, I've got to reinvestigate the whole piggyback thing again, because I used to do those. I'm not sure how it's changed. So now I'm going to have to start investigating that particular type of product to see how it's going to work for my clients in order to make this happen. Or you could just throw your hands up and say, I can't do it, but who wants to do that, right? You have to make a living. So I think that what he did was really smart, and he began to investigate that a little bit more to figure out, okay, I've got it now. If I can't convert everybody, at least I can convert a good portion of them.
Yeah, well, I had a conversation with a CEO of one of the top 10 largest lenders in the country. It was a few months ago, and they had done a study on, the leads they had gotten, the loans that they had done, the turndowns that they had, and they had done a several-month study on it and determined that one of the leakage, as you put it, was one of the top 3 line items on their P&L. Like, it was so much money. And guys, think about what the line items are on a big company's P&L. Commissions, payroll, rent, and leakage was a top 3 P&L number in their estimate under their analysis. So it's a big number, guys. Not delivering a total cost analysis at the point of sale is massive leakage. Not doing annual reviews is massive leakage over time, and not being a product expert is massive leakage that you guys can't afford. So give us what are the top updates? We are recording this in the last week of April 2020. We're just a week away from May. Actually, I think May 1st is Friday. So what are the updates this week or this month, however you want to put it?
Yeah, updates this week, of course, it's all about what's going to happen with all of our clients if we close the loan and then they've lost their job the day after closing. And, there's all of that going around the internet. And the bottom line on that is none of us really know. We're not legal experts, so kind of stay away from that completely, other than executing your plan. You can only do what you can do best, right? You make sure that everybody is employed by the time they close. You get that loan to closing, and then you hope for the best. I mean, that's all that we can do on the origination side of things. And certainly advise our clients as to, what may or may not happen, but just not going into detail, just sticking with talk to your servicer. I can't get that message across enough. But what we're seeing the most search on is student loans, divorce borrowers, and sorts of derogatory credit, such as bankruptcy, late payments, collections, judgments, those types of things. And I really find that that's pretty much what everyone searches on a regular basis, because the nice thing about having great resources is that if you're stepping into what you do every single day, then chances are you have that knowledge. But if it's something that you don't face every day, then chances are you need a good resource to go and find out what it is that you need to know in order to make this happen. Another thing that we're seeing is that people are going away from the non-QM market because they have to, and now they're trying to figure out the guidelines for your traditional FHA, Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac types of programs where they can assist their borrowers in getting the right scenario for those standard programs that we've had in our industry. So even though it may have seemed easier to do a non-QM or perhaps a jumbo loan, we're now seeing how they're having to take traditional product and morph it back into what their client could use.
Got it. So two things that I am seeing a lot, and tell me, what resources you might have for this or any ideas, are the fact that jumbo loans have been suspended. And as I mentioned earlier, guys, I'm going to show my screen real quick. Jeremy Forcier forwarded me an email with a link to a TCA, and it was a borrower that was approved for a jumbo loan, but that jumbo loan had been suspended. And so I think some of the value here is just in the scripting of how Jeremy approached the client, like, hey, I've got some good news, I've got some bad news. Bad news is the mortgage industry has been under attack and jumbo loans have been suspended nationwide. The great news is I have an even better loan to structure your loan. And then if you click on this, you can actually hear Jeremy script that out to the client, and you can see how he packaged that in a total cost analysis to make it easy for the consumer. And he forwarded the email to me afterwards, and the client said, great, let's go. So,
right.
So that was a win. And then I also am seeing a lot of seller buy downs. Even though rates are at historical lows, you're seeing a lot of overlays and increase in price, or you're seeing a lot of people that their income's gone down, so qualifying is more difficult. And so you're starting to see more people saying, hey, you know what? We want to do that seller buy down to get a rate that they could qualify for or to expand their qualification. Could you speak to those two? Because I'd love for anyone listening to this today to go, you know what? The conversation that Dave and Tammy had helped me save a loan or helped me do a loan that I didn't know that I could do. So why don't we speak about those two strategies? Also, Mortgage Coach community, I'm going to be interviewing Tammy more. Plus, she is active in our group. I mean, she pays attention to it. So we would love to know, what kind of loans are you saving and what kind of questions do you have for Tammy, so that next time I'm interviewing her, we're just answering questions that you guys have. So comment down below. You're watching this in Facebook or in our Facebook group. If you have questions for Tammy, put them down below and we'll either answer them online in comments or we'll bring them into our next conversation. So Tammy, could you speak to those two strategies, and let's see if we can save some loans today?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, first of all, you know this, Dave, I have loved Mortgage Coach from the time you started it, because it's a visual representation, which is how most of us learn, right? So you can talk numbers to me all day long, but chances are good if I'm not in mortgage origination, I probably don't know what you're talking about. And so that visual representation is important. So when you look at products that are a little bit different, like a piggyback, or when you look at another product like a seller-funded buy-down, actually putting this down so that I can see what it looks like and feels like makes it a lot easier to understand. So kudos to Jeremy for doing that. I think that was super smart on his part to convey that message that way. We have a lot of veterans, young veterans that are coming out, and I would say that the VA programs and how to use seller concessions to effectively get people qualified. We've got classes on that on the Mortgage Currency site that our VA expert has gone through. It's these little tiny techniques. The seller funded buy down is another way to kind of approach things. Most people, even though we used them many years ago, and I mean many years ago, I think I started when rates were 18%. We use seller funded buy downs all the time because it made sense. But with rates so low, people haven't looked at that. But it's a great strategy. So how do you use the products that you have instead of throwing up your hands and saying, I can't do this, I'm losing loans, I'm stressing out? how do you take a look at what these products are that are available right at your fingertips and restructure it, put it into a visual format to your client so that it makes sense to them and that you're not losing those deals. And I think that sometimes we just need to take the blindfolds off a little bit more and expand our horizon so that we're able to see what those options are.
So let's teach people, or at least have a conversation on how to do the search. So a loan officer has a loan that either they don't think they can do it for some student loan nuance or some guideline nuance, or they thought they could do it and underwriting just kicked it back to them and said, we can't do it because of X. So how would we go use your system and your resource to, net it out? Like, oh, looks like we can't do it. Or, just walk us through that process. Explain how a loan officer should effectively research that.
Absolutely. So the first thing is underwriters. About half of our subscribers are underwriters and loan scenario desk managers. That's an important thing to understand. Why is that? They can find the answer fast. Okay, so let's look at student loans and debt paid by others, right? Because that's really what we're talking about. I've got a student loan and it's a debt that's paid by others. So when they go on the site, there's two areas that they really need to focus.
By the way, are you in a position where you can share your screen and show the site, or would I be throwing you a curveball?
Yeah, it's a curveball, but let's see if we can make it happen. Hold on a second.
All right, I'll tell you when I see your screen. So guys, while Tammy is logging into her system and getting ready to just do a quick search for us, give us a little feel for how we might research something. I wanna just remind you guys, I wanna help you not only convert more business for you, I wanna help you convert more business for America and for the families you serve. Every time you meet with a family, they deserve the best possible advice. That means giving it to them in a total cost analysis. And they deserve the best possible mortgage product advice. That means you have a resource available that when you don't know the answer, you can quickly and effectively get the answer. Or when someone comes back and kicks it back to you and says, oh, you can't do it, you can effectively research it. So I push everybody in the mortgage coach community. You want to be the ultimate mortgage professional, modern professional. It's how you present and it's how you research and know products. You got to know both. So are you in a place where you can share your desktop real quick?
I think I am. Yeah. So let's give it a go. And let me see if you can see it. Can you see it?
I see it. Mortgage currency. Cool.
Okay. So you're in the heart of mortgage currency right now. And this is called charts and checklists. So charts and checklists is where we have everything as far as the charts I was talking about. So let's say I had the scenario that we had just discussed. And I can go down in alphabetical order here, and I can see, oh, there's the student loan chart. But really what I'm talking about is not a student loan as much as it's a debt paid by others. So I just scroll up a bit, debts paid by others, click on that, and now I'm able to see how the agencies will handle, oh, here's Fannie Mae, when a borrower is obligated on non-mortgage debt, da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da, and then there's the guideline reference. So no matter what type of loan I have it all right here in front of me. And of course, you can see there are literally hundreds of charts, expected income, disputed accounts, divorced borrowers. And then of course, there are charts that are specific to Fannie Mae, charts that are specific to FHA or VA, as an example. VA is very popular. You know, one of the things on VA that I think is interesting is the VA comparison chart. So how do I compare all of these different types of refinances when I'm doing a VA loan? And so they're able to pull up a chart for that. So you can see that there are refinance comparison VA. Pull it up. And what it's going to do is tell you all the different type 1, type 2, cash out, IRRL, all of it. It's all right there for you to access. Okay. Now, another part that's important for the charts, and I'll end with this so that we don't lose too many eyes on this, is the income analyzers. So I run across an income that I'm not used to getting. Maybe it's capital gains. Maybe it is foster income or foreign income. I don't run into that every day. But I can go ahead and pull up any of these charts it will tell me what all of the agencies will do, whether they'll allow it, and how to document it.
Love it. Be a product master. I advocate being a black belt in mortgage advice, and we've now rolled out gamification so that you could go from white belt, orange belt, blue belt, all the way to black belt. And what Tammy has is be a black belt in product knowledge. So I know you have a lot of heart and a lot of passion for new loan officers. I want to hear what you're doing for loan officers, but I do want to make sure anybody that's listening to this that wants to sign up and have access to mortgage currency, what do they do? Where do they go? And how much does it cost?
They go to Mortgage Currency, and I'll spell it CURRENTCY, like current.
Link down below. We'll put a link in show notes. So if you're watching this in YouTube, there's a link in show notes down below.
Go to subscription options. You'll see many. We have individual subscriptions, whether it's monthly, quarterly, or yearly, depending on your budget. Of course, group subscriptions. We have a lot of top producing teams that buy it for their team, which reduces the cost further. And then, of course, the enterprise accounts for the larger companies that have hundreds of subscribers.
And what's like, if I'm an individual loan officer and I just want to go sign up right now, how much is it a month?
$49 a month. It's the highest price point. And then quarterly, you save a little bit more. Yearly, you save a little bit more than that.
Any setup fee or, commitment? So I could just sign up for the month, check it out. Cool. And so for all teams out there, check it out. Do let me know what you think of this platform. It's been around for a long, long time. And Tammy has been doing this for, 3 decades. So it's a really valuable resource. So cool on that. And then I have been getting a lot of reach outs in social media. People, I'm thinking about getting in the mortgage business, or I just got in the mortgage business. So there's a lot of first year loan officers, and it's accelerating. What do you got for new loan officers?
Well, I'm very excited about this next thing. I used to own the largest training school in the industry over 20 years ago. And actually, I was the one that trained the first call center for Quicken when they were Rock Financial.
Wow.
So that's how far we go back. But my passion has always been new originators, getting new blood in the industry, whether you're sitting in a call center or whether you're out there doing retail origination. And so I've decided I'm going to pay this forward. All of the knowledge and all of the training that we've done over the years, we're actually going to be offering in a new Facebook group, which I'm launching next week. It's called the Mortgage Hive, Hive. And people will be able to go there, originators will be able to go there and learn the basic stuff in what I call the 6 areas: marketing analysis, sales skills, marketing skills, technical knowledge, time management, organization, and of course your mindset and motivation. So where is your mind and how are you motivating yourself? So that's important. And then they'll have a 6-month plan where if they just follow it every single day, just like we used to do in the training, do this, do this, do this, do this, then they'll be able to really start to execute their program. You can teach people a lot of things, but until they decide they're going to execute it, it doesn't mean a hill of beans, right? So we're going to give them the knowledge. It's my way of paying forward toward all these years later. And I'm very, very excited. It's free. Anybody can join it. And so we're excited to roll that out and really start to get some comfort around new originators so that they're not just kind of scrambling out there trying to figure things out on their own.
I love that. That's going to be great to have another resource. And I love the fact that it's in Facebook. I have found our Facebook group to be such a powerful way to collaborate and educate. And Bill Hillstad, good friend of mine, just rolled out a Facebook group to become a master marketer with Facebook. So Facebook advertising. Now it is a premium boot camp and he's charging for it. But I love this, Tammy. I can't wait to check it out. And anybody who's listening to this, check it out. Anything Tammy does, I support. She's one of the most professional human beings in the mortgage industry. And she fills a gap that there's just not a lot out there. When it comes to being a product master and being a black belt in mortgage product, I don't know where you learn that. I know there are a number of free resources out there and some premium, but at least from what I know, you're great. So mortgage coach community, what questions do you have for Tammy next time we interview her? And what do you think of her platform? Check it out. Tammy, any closing words of wisdom before we wrap up today's call?
My closing words of wisdom is stay strong during this pandemic. It's going to pass. Everything's going to get back to some sort of normal, and you're going to learn a lot. Stay focused on your clients. Close the ones that you can close right now, and the ones that you can't. Let me give you the biggest piece of advice that I did myself as a loan officer and has worked for so many other loan officers. You want to have what I call an incubation or secondary pipeline. Every loan officer should have a secondary pipeline. And your secondary pipeline are those people you can't help right now, but you're incubating them to some degree to where they get to where they need to get to so that you're able to help them. Otherwise, you just lose all of the work that you did and you don't even know what happened to them. So keep your primary pipeline, keep your secondary pipeline going, keep your product knowledge high, make sure that you're learning something new every single week, and keep throwing out those TCAs, because I'm telling you that visual representation is so very important to convey the complex world of products in our industry. And Dave, thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
That advice was spectacular, and I want to just pile onto that, because that is huge advice for all time. But given the fact that interest rates are likely to go down more, I interviewed Dan Rawich on Friday, and he made a pretty spectacular case that rates are going to be in the 2s. So that means that secondary pipeline is going to be bigger than ever. It's going to be bigger than ever because there's people that, you can't get them. There's not enough net tangible benefit today, but there will be tomorrow. And then there's a lot of people that they can't qualify today, but they'll be able to qualify for tomorrow based off of your product expertise or their change of circumstances. And so that secondary pipeline has never been more important. And here's my advice, and not just because I'm Mr. Mortgage Coach, but I truly believe that the biggest value proposition you can give a family is clarity. And if you have not given them a total cost analysis so they understand today and tomorrow, they don't have clarity. And whether guidelines open up for them in the future or whether rates open up for them in the future, sometimes you can just convert them with a text. Like if when you met with them, you gave them clarity with a TCA, and now when that time comes in the future with your secondary pipeline, it's going to be much more effective for you and your clients. So everybody get that secondary pipeline going and make sure every person in that secondary pipeline has a TCA based off of today. And you've made the case, like, I'll call you when, so that when you call, they're waiting for you. You set the right expectations and they know what they're waiting for. So that was huge, Tammy. Tammy, I am grateful for you, and this has been an awesome call, and I can't wait for the next one.
Yeah, me too, Dave. Thanks so much, and I appreciate talking to your community and spending some time with you. It was wonderful. Thanks.
Have an awesome day. Take care.